Hello and welcome to the Weekend Insider. We are back once again after a week's break. How are you going, lads? Okay?
Very good.
All good, mate.
Excellent, good stuff. I just thought I'd bring the listeners and the viewers in of why we had a week break. It was because Ian wanted a week break to get over his shoulder injury. I don't know if anybody's heard about his shoulder injury. He doesn't like to go on about it, So we've had a week off for him in mourning of his shoulder.
You're an absolute knobhead, first and foremost, aren't you? And no one asked you to have a week off. It's just you couldn't do without your season tips, could you, for a week?
That's exactly right, to be honest, mate. That's exactly right. Mrs. Weekend Insider. It was her birthday, wasn't it? So
now the real reason's coming out. Now the real reason's coming out.
Mrs. Weekend Insider, yeah.
Basically, Chris's missus is the reason we've not done the Weekend Insider.
Mate, Chris had a massive shepherd's hook last week, didn't he? No, you're not doing that.
Yeah, I had to go out boozing. Sorry about that, lads. Yeah. So it's been so we missed a week. So a lot's happened in that week. First of all, looking back to that last insider that we did, I mean, what a week! What a week! I've got the results there. Correct me if I've missed anything. I'll start with yours, Dave. A 22-1 football winner, mate.
Hurrah!
Yeah,
out of this world, mate. And then we had a 7-2 on the horses win, 5-2 win, 11-1 each way place, a 14-1 double, and a 9-1 place treble. I mean, if you can find any other tipping thing online, on the TV, or your mates who can do better than that, then I'll take them the races myself and they can put bets on. You know what I mean? And they can show me how they do it, because that is absolutely phenomenal, lads. I can't say how big it is, really. I mean, you two must be buzzing as well, though.
Yeah, it was good. That Dave hasn't really mentioned his footy win.
No.
Like your shoulder.
I know. To be fair to Ian, right? He's been on fire for a while. I had a couple of dodgy weeks prior to that, so I needed my win. So that's why I've not stopped banging on about it. And it was a big one.
To be fair,
it was 22-1, and I was confident about it as well. So yeah, very happy with it, and let's hope we can go again this week.
Definitely. Well, I know speaking to you before, Dave, and yesterday, you're very, very confident again this week. You couldn't wait to record this because you're so confident.
Well, thankfully, that because of your misses, we didn't do last week. And when you said, "Oh, we're not going to do it this week," I actually said to you, I said, "I've looked at the fixtures last weekend," and I said, "Thank God that we're not doing it, because I couldn't see anything last week." And I did have a bet, and as I thought, I got nowhere. So it was good that we had a week off.
I was gutted we had the week off last week. I think I sent the bet to you guys. The closest I've ever been to coming through a card at Newmarket. I picked 6 of the 7 winners at Newmarket and cleared a few quid, to be fair, last Saturday off relatively small stakes. So I was gutted because the podcast might have had a belting week last week on the horses, but never mind. I did.
Get on to my missus, mate. Tell her.
Yeah.
Mrs. Weekender. Oh, that sounds well dodged, that, doesn't
it? So just to remind people, we are now on Twitter and Instagram. You can follow us. Just search for the Weekend Insider. This weekend, we're actually being featured. We're going massive. We're going big now. We're on Radio Warrington on Saturday lunchtime. Again, you can search for Radio Warrington. It's on AM frequency or actually smart speaker. Do you know the frequency of that, Ian, off the top of your head?
It's easier on digital, mate. If you just ask Alexa or whatever your smart speaker is, or download the app. Warrington Radio was an app as well, so you can listen to that dead easy. It's the warm-up show that I present most weeks on a Saturday. Cracking sports show. It's well worth a listen. We cover all sorts of sports, and for reasons best known to myself, I've invited you two on the show this week.
You want more listeners, don't you? That's what it is, mate.
Oh, jeez. The warm-up's getting weekended.
Good stuff. So yeah, so we're on all that. So listen to us if you can on Saturday. So yeah, so from last time's podcast, really, like I said, there's a lot gone on, really. I'll just have a quick rundown of the sport and thing that's gone on. The rugby league that I like to mention, the odds betting, as you know, has a 99% win rate.
Do you know what? I'm going to bring that up on Saturday, Chris. I'm going to get you to tip a couple of rugby games up on the radio.
The week of the podcast, we had 2 winners in, so you're into a profit. If you're backing all 6 games, you only need 2 out of the 6 to come in, and you're into a profit. But even if just 1 comes in, you're losing very minimal for having 6 bets, which is pretty good. So 2 came in on that week, and they're always about 9-2, 4-1. And then last week, just 1 out of the 6 came in. So we're looking forward to this week. Also, as well, I don't know about you lads. Have you seen the boxing recently? For me, it's turned into a bit of a farce. Not the actual fights, the actual the warm up to the fights, like the press conferences and all that. It's like, do you remember WWE or WWF?
Oh, yeah.
I used to watch it.
Where they're fronting each other out and stuff, and
honestly, it's turned like that. Have you seen the one this week with that YouTuber and Floyd Mayweather? I think it was last night. The videos were.
Let's be honest, the YouTuber fighting Floyd is just a joke anyway, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, the other YouTuber, his brother fought, what was his name, that UFC fighter last week, and actually beat him, to be fair to him. But still, for him to be fighting someone like Floyd Mayweather, but his brother, like, they squared up in some hotel or whatever it was, and he stole his hat and tried to run off with his hat, with Mayweather's hat. But he ran off going, "I've got your hat, I've got your hat." You know what I mean? You get a chance to watch the little clip on social media. It is pretty funny, but it's turning into an absolute farce, and I'm getting bored of it.
They better be careful, mate. They're going to end up on that Eurosport. You watching them on a Thursday afternoon, the way it's going.
Did I see a couple of the old timers are coming back out, Chris? A couple of the heavyweights.
Well, I saw a poster saying showing Mike Tyson and Lennox Lewis. I'm not a fan of it. Me, let it. The time's been answered. They're too old. You know what I mean? It's probably not safe.
Someone could get really hurt in that, couldn't they?
Yeah. Well, the last time Mike Tyson fought, they did that thing of there was no knockdowns. There was all kinds of different rules. And you may as well just play boxing chess. You know what I mean? I mentioned the other week. Just play chess instead of boxing.
Yeah. May as well just play Steal the Hat.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Eurosport today. That is fine.
That'd be a good one. That they need to change the name though. Steal the Hat. They're gonna have to come up with something better than that.
Mate, I like it. It does what it says on the tin. I'm all for simplicity, mate. You don't have anyone asking, "How do you play Steal the Hat?" Do you? The rules are there.
No,
like chess boxing is open to interpretation, isn't it?
See, I thought he had the gloves on, and that was the challenge.
So on the boxing, so last week there was
Steal the Hat.
Joseph what?
Steal the Hat.
There was Joseph Parker versus Chisora. That was a little bit controversial in the end. It went to points. Parker won on points, but a lot of people thinking Chisora should have won. I'd like to give you my analysis on it, but I'd had a few beers, so I can't. I watched it, but don't remember watching it, so that was me.
Because imagine you having your own scorecard watching the boxing.
Yeah, I do. Mrs. Weekend Insider, I say that's a 10. That's a 9.
Yeah. And welcome to the Weekend Insider. Chris is our boxing expert. He watches it while he's had too many and can't remember the fight. But listen out for his tips.
Oh,
yeah, my tips, yeah.
Good to see this podcast has resumed where the last one ended. Complete fucking farce.
Although on that night of boxing, I'll tell you what, it did make me feel old. I don't know if you saw it. There was like Ricky Hatton's lad, Campbell Hatton, was fighting. Chris Eubanks' lad. So these boxers have kind of grown up watching, and now their sons are like early 20s fighting as well. And both
mad,
looking good, both won as well. It just shows you're getting old, doesn't it?
Yeah,
really.
Yeah, it's depressing, that.
Quite worrying. So I bet you've had it before us, though, haven't you, Ian?
Oh, God.
Getting old. You can remember Ricky Hatton's dad, can't you?
That's a bit harsh, mate, isn't it? Just because Dave wellies the just for men.
Yeah. Hey, by the way, Ian had his first COVID jab in 1988.
You got that written down there, Dave. Yeah, you've had that stored for 2 weeks, haven't you?
But on that night of boxing, the Stoller Show, the women's boxing, Katie Taylor versus Natasha Jonas, absolutely brilliant. I don't know if you've seen much of this Katie Taylor. She's done for the women's boxing game. It's come on leaps and bounds because of her. She is fantastic for the whole fight. It went to points in the end. Katie Taylor won on points, but it was an absolute slugfest. Honestly, it was fantastic. They were both battered and bruised. It was brilliant. It beat the main event for me, and it does every time. She's fantastic. If you do get a chance to see that Katie Taylor, have a look at her on YouTube. She's unbelievable, and what she's done for women's games, fantastic, really. Onto the football, all English Champions League final, City Chelsea.
Great, that. Yeah, made up with that. I think that's brilliant.
Yeah, it's good, mate.
They both deserve it. To be fair to them, they've both been the best teams in it this season, so can't really complain.
I was impressed by Chelsea, Dave. Were you?
Yeah, very impressed. But as I said, when we when we play Real Madrid, Liverpool, and I said, well, if we don't beat these, then we don't deserve to go any further. I do think it's a side that's aged, and I don't think it didn't take much to beat them. But Chelsea absolutely wiped the floor with them, and it could have been about 4 or 5, really, couldn't it? So,
should have been.
Yeah, I mean, City. How good are City looking, by the way?
It's going to be a good game. It's going to be a close final, that I think.
I see that. Sorry, mate. Go on.
I was just going to say, I think it's going to be a lot of like City possession. Chelsea will sit back and just try and hit them on the counter. I think that's
fast,
the way
aren't they?
He likes to set them up, and they've got loads of quick players. And now, how good's Mason Mount, by the way?
I know, he's brilliant.
Yeah,
mad stat here, actually. I was doing some research for the.
Hang on. I'll get my stato banner. Hang on. You can't start yet. Hang on. Go on, you're all right now.
I was doing some research for the radio at the weekend, and just looking at how much Chelsea have improved, under Tuchel, and it's ridiculous. His defense.
Tell you what, there's a lot of.
You have made some notes there.
There's what?
Your preparation is about 20 sheets of paper there.
That's not for this show. That's for Saturday. This show takes 10 minutes.
Forest in his hand there. There's amount of paper.
75% of games for Tuchel clean sheets. Compared to
99%.
Lampard.
Brilliant. We love percentages.
Compared to Lampard, which was 18%.
Wow, that is
some turnaround, that isn't it?
Yeah, it is. That's good. That I saw this week as well. Villa Park. We're trying to get it as well, rather than it being in Istanbul.
I'll be honest, it annoys me all that. They think that because it's 2 English teams, it all makes sense. They should have it here. No, they've planned it there. Istanbul. There's a lot of people that have put money into that. Local people, the air. The city itself. It's been, these things get prepared years in advance. So it's not a case of just saying, just because 2 English, let's switch it to Villa Park. People don't realise that. It's one of my real bugbears.
And to be honest, from our Turkish minister.
No, can you imagine that? You get to the Champions League final and it's right, everyone off to Villa Park. You'd be gutted, wouldn't you?
Yeah, you look forward to going to Istanbul and you end up in Birmingham. You don't want that, do you?
No.
See, Roman Abramovich stepped up, said, "I'll play it on my yacht."
Yeah, but big enough, isn't it?
Now that'd be fair enough if they switched it to they can stuff it in Istanbul. I'm going on that yacht.
Yeah, it'd be brilliant, that, wouldn't it? Imagine that footy pitch on a yacht.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be nice, wouldn't it? That'd be nice. So on to this week, fellas. We mentioned the boxing a little bit there. The boxing this week is Canelo versus Saunders. Again, they've been at it this week of a bit of a farce because of the ring size and stuff. So Canelo is 1-7. Saunders is 9-2, and the draw is 20-1. By the way, do you know his name Canelo? His name's like Raul Alvarez or something like that. Do you know where the name Canelo comes from? A little bit of a stat for you.
Go on.
No, we don't.
It comes from because he's got like red hair, fiery red hair or something. They say, and the Canelo comes from another word that means little cinnamon, and that's what Canelo comes from. That's his nickname.
You've literally just got yourself a new nickname.
What, Little Cinnamon or Canelo?
Little Cinnamon. Oh, let's just go for Little Cinnamon.
I prefer Canelo.
Yeah.
No.
No, you suit Little Cinnamon, though, to be fair.
Thanks.
Dave, he's sort of taken over with the boxing here today, isn't he? Have you noticed?
I know. He's pushing this boxing, isn't he?
Is he angling for a slot on another show or something here? Or?
Hang on. Mr. Earn, they're telling me off. So, but I did see
your missus going to
though.
contest in now with Mr. Earn.
You've been a naughty boy, Little Cinnamon.
Yeah.
Oh dear. I did see. I did see a bet over 3-1 on the boxing. You know the boxing. 3-1 was either fighter be knocked down and Canelo to win on points, which I think is pretty good at 3-1. I do think Joseph Parker will probably get knocked down. Whether he'll be knocked out, I don't know. So for it to go points, and Canelo will probably win. So at 3-1, that's probably where my money will go. And I know you'll be pleased to get off the boxing. Rugby League this weekend, Challenge Cup quarterfinals. There's 2 games today tonight on Sky, and then there's 2 games tomorrow on the BBC, which is pretty good. So you've got Catalan Warrington and St Helens Huddersfield tonight, and then tomorrow on BBC you've got Hull v Wigan and Castleford v Salford. Now I picked out a little bet. Oh, Ian's bored already. He's gone. Ian,
he's gone.
Ian, my tips are on. I'll carry on without him. He's not that bothered. So Rugby League. I don't know where he's gone. I think he's gone for a coffee or something.
He's back.
He's back. Oh, nice of you to join us. Nice of you to join us, mate. I'll dock that out your fee.
Sorry about that, listeners. Chris stopped talking about boxing and rugby.
No, still on the rugby. So I've seen a bet though in the Catalan v Warrington game, which I quite fancy. So this is them to score a try at any time. Sam Tompkins, Josh Charnley, and Greg Inglis to score at any time is 9-1. I quite fancy that. I'm going to have a little do on that. So that's.
I think it's going to be a high-scoring game, Chris.
I think it'll be tight, but I do think so. Sam Tompkins for Catalan, normally kind of on the score sheet. Josh Charnley, winger. Greg Inglis, centre, scored last week on his debut. So
loves Greg Inglis, doesn't he, Dave?
Loves him. Yeah.
My new best friend.
New best friend. There's going to be an injunction against you very soon. Park and waiting for him after training and that. Yeah. Like Greg.
So that's 9-1. That I really fancy that. I think that's pretty good, and that is me for boxing and rugby this week, fellas. So it's great of you to join us. We'll see you now. So moving on to this week. Dave, I'm going to start with you, mate, following on from your don't like to talk about it 22-1 winner on our last podcast, mate. And I know you're very, very confident here. So over to you, pal, fire away.
Right. Well, this week, the reason I was more confident, when I put the 5-fold in, it was 22-1 on William Hill. So I'm thinking it's written in the stars again. A double, loads of little ducks, 22s to 1 all over the show. So, right, this weekend it's all about the League 2 playoff spots. What are you laughing at now?
Crack on, Dave. Go on.
We're just giggling, just being childish.
Right, so it's League Two playoff spots. There's 5 teams fighting it out for the last 2 spots. Now, the reason I like this, it stands out that the teams that they play in, these 5 teams fighting for the playoff spots, they're playing teams that have got nothing to play for. So it's the last games of the season, and their minds will be on the beach when the restrictions are lifted. Getting off with a family. So we've got
the weird.
Well, you can't say anything misplaced, and then it's
anyway. That's why I have all my notes.
Yeah. And then obviously the other 5 teams, they're thinking of going to Wembley. It might be that being in League Two, it might be their only way of ever playing at Wembley, and obviously they want to get into League One. So the first game, and this is the strongest one, is Exeter against Barrow. Now, this on its own, the odds are 8-11. Now, Exeter have hit form at exactly the right time when you want to hit it, and they beat Bolton, which I know Chris was happy with last week. He was laughing. Bolton were 1-0 up, and they were going up, and then Exeter come back and beat them 2-1 when all the fans were outside the stadium celebrating. So if Exeter win and Forest Green draw or get beat, they'll get that last playoff spot. Or if Newport and Tranmere lose, they can take the playoff spot because their goal difference is far superior than everybody else's. They've got scored 70 goals, which is the joint highest in the league this season. So they do score goals. Barrow are safe, and they've lost the last 4 out of 5 games, and they lost to Southend last weekend at home, and that's relegated Southend, who are awful. So that's the strongest one, Exeter to beat Barrow. Next one, again, this is fairly similar to what I've just said previously. It's Salford against Leyton Orient. Now, on its own, the game is 4-7 for Salford to win. Again, they've hit form at just the right time with a new manager that obviously Neville and the rest of them brought in. They've won the last 4 of 5, so they've given themselves a slim chance of the playoffs. I'm thinking, what Neville and all the other class of '92 would have said to the manager and the players: if you get this last playoff spot and you get into League One, the bonuses that I bet that they've offered them will be unbelievable. So I think that they'll be desperate to win to give themselves a fighting chance of getting that last spot. Leyton Orient are complete like the mid-table, and they've lost the last 3, conceding 9 goals. So again, it's another strong home win for them. So that's 2 out of the 5. The next one, again, another one looking for the playoffs, is Newport away at Southend. Newport only need a point, but they've hit great form recently. Actually, they hit form after I stopped betting on them, because I was betting on them, and they were getting beat like 1-0 at home, like around January time. And now they've just gone on, and now they've gone into 5th place, and they're looking really good. They relegated Southend, but they have hit form recently. But they're at home, and the home form is horrendous. They've only won 2 this year, and they've lost 6 and drawn the other 4 0-0. So they don't tend to score at home. They're relegated. I can't see them putting up much of a fight. Newport are going to be up for it. They want the playoff spot, so I expect an away win. It's not as confident as my 2 previous, but I still fancy it, yeah. 4th pick is Tranmere at home to Colchester. Now, I'm only really going for this, again, because they need the playoff spot, but also Tranmere at home are really good. That's one reason. And the second thing is Colchester. Colchester's away form is horrendous again. They've not won away since the 12th of December. Since then, they've drew 6 and lost 8. So, again, it looks like another strong home selection for the 4 teams that are fighting it out. Now, I'm not putting the 5th game, I'm not putting Forest Green in, because I don't fancy. They're away at Oldham and Forest Green away, and they're not good, and the form recently isn't good. So they're the team that are fighting for the places that I don't expect to win. But I do fancy, if this is just on a side note, I do fancy goals galore in that game. Oldham versus Forest Green. So before I tell you my fifth selection, I want to tell you that fourfold that I think is really strong, if you want to put that on its own, is 8-1.
Nice.
Now, my fifth fold, which when I put it in, it's an 11-8 selection, and it takes it up to 22-1. Now, I'm personally going to back it because for some reason I really fancy it. And it's a 12:30 kickoff, as are all the championship games.
Oh, I like
it. Right, and you're not going to believe when I say this, but it's Derby to beat Sheffield Wednesday, and there's a few reasons for this. Now,
are they home or away, Chris? Derby?
They're at home. So they're at home, Derby. Now, the reasons behind this is Derby they're a place out of the relegation zone, 2 points above Rotherham and 3 points above Sheffield Wednesday, and only 1 goal difference between them. I think Rotherham will get beat away at Cardiff on Saturday. So that leaves the last relegation place between Derby and Sheffield Wednesday. So it's a shootout, so to speak. They're both in poor form. But last weekend, I watched Sheffield Wednesday play Nottingham Forest. And they had to win Sheffield Wednesday to really, so they could have relegation in their own hands. And I watched the game, and it looked as if they were playing a pre-season friendly. They were awful. Didn't look like scoring. It ended 0-0. But if anyone was going to win it, it'd have been Forest, and Forest had nothing to play for. It was a dire game. With them going away to Derby, and I hate to say this, and I'm putting in the Wayne Rooney factor that I can just see him winning, and Derby will stay up. I just really fancy them to win at home and beat a very poor Sheffield Wednesday side. So that's what I'm going for. And also, on a little side note, Kazim Richards to score for Derby as well. I'll be backing him to score first in that game. So that's me for this week, and it's a 5-fold at 22-1.
Nice, mate. Lovely stuff.
Brilliant,
lovely
Dave.
stuff.
Nice
Yeah. I think a lot of bookies do money back if one leg lets you down or something on a 5-fold and things like that, don't they? Yeah. So that could be worth having a look for if you do that, or maybe 2 bets if you're 8-1 and then you're 22-1. But that Kazim Richards
I'll probably be doing 2 bets, I reckon, on that.
Yeah, I quite fancy it because I think that Derby Sheffield Wednesday one, I think you're right, but I think it'll be really tight, won't it? And I think that Kazim Richards, who you just mentioned, that I think I might have a couple of pound on Kazim Richards 1-0. I think Derby 1-0 because that'll be a decent price. You'll probably get about 20-1 for that, won't you? At least.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
There's the double chance you could throw into a couple of these games as well, isn't there? Derby or draw.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
But 11-8 was pretty decent, I thought, on its own.
Yeah, it is. It's good. It's good. You won't need it when the 22-1 comes in, will you? Anything else will be a bonus, really.
No, watch it now. They'll all come in apart from that Exeter one that I've been saying is the most guaranteed at 8-11.
Is that your balls out the bag selection, Dave?
That's balls out the bag. That if that doesn't come in, I'm giving up.
Yes, it's on the screen.
It's on the screen. The balls are out the bag. Brilliant. Nice one, mate. I've got all them written down, so I'll be throwing them on again. Over to you, Ian, for the GGs.
A tough week this week, lads. Actually, I won't lie to you. I was looking for maybe a couple of easy selections this week to keep the run going. A couple of small prices that I could maybe throw into a double or a treble, and keep the kudos going for the podcast of yet another win on the horses. It's not happening. So I have got 3 selections, 1 nap, 1 next best, and 1 big each way selection. All in big races. So the first one is the Swinton Hurdle at Haydock, the 3:10 race at Haydock on Saturday. It's a 2-mile hurdle race. Going's probably going to be soft. Weather hasn't been great, has it? And so, look through this. It's a wide open race. To be honest, the key piece of form for this is a race that happened at Aintree back at the Aintree Festival at the start of April. It was a race that was won by a horse called Roland Ward, and second in that race was a horse called Camprond. Both pulled a little bit clear of the field. There was only probably half a length in there at the end. Both of them, I think, are set to run a good race. As I say, it was a good piece of form. However, there was a horse in that race called Coppolis, which reopposes today. It came pulling double about 2 hurdles out. It was cruising too far out to presume it was going to win, but enough for me to have a look at its back form. And this horse, to me, at 11-2, 6-1 in places, 6-1 on Bet365, generally 11-2. So it's a good each way bet. Looks proper nap material for me. You know, napping the 6-1 shot is quite balls off the bag, Chris, isn't it?
Yeah. Hang on, hold on. There we go. We're on.
But I say it's very lightly raced. I think Adoc will suit. Adoc's got a nice long straight, similar to Aintree has. So it'll get time to come into the race. I've watched its previous races, and I think this horse is improving all the time. The big swinging factor for me was, you know, in a handicap race, when a horse wins or runs well, its handicap mark gets put up for the next race. So basically, it has to carry more weight in the race. So those 2 horses I mentioned before, Roland Ward, he's carrying £10 more today. Comprand is carrying £9 more today. Because Coppolis didn't finish the race, it's hard to assess sort of quite where you put his handicap mark. So he's only been raised £3. So he's £7 and £6 better off with those 2 horses in the race where I think he might have beat them anyway. So I think looking at the figures, looking at the prices, Ollie Murphy's informed the trainer. I love Aidan Coleman, the jockey. I think he's cracking. 6-1. I think you'll probably get, because it's the big race of the day at Adoc as well, I reckon you'll get 5 places on that.
Yeah.
Smash into that each way.
So it's more. It's a little bit more than your money back. So it's near enough a free bet. You're definitely going to think it's going to finish in the top 5, obviously. So it's like a free bet to try and win at 11-2.
Exactly that, mate. And that's exactly the way I've looked at it. I'm very confident that you won't lose your money on it.
Yeah.
And hopeful that you'll get a crack and run for your money at 6-1.
Yeah.
Next race, we're shooting over to Ascot for the 2:30, which is a 1 mile 4 race. It's a listed race, which is one of the class ones, not quite at the top level. And again, we've got a key race in this, which was a race at Newbury a few weeks back, where a horse called Without a Fight came second. Beat 3 other horses that are opposing today. Outbox, horse called Tyson Fury, actually, and a couple of others.
Boxing. Somebody mentioned boxing.
I know your missus is going to pop her head back in now with a wig on again. I can't see any reason why any of the horses that finished behind Without a Fight will beat it today.
I see what you did there with Tyson Fury, Without a Fight.
See that? Probably, do you know what? I can see a forecast coming on now Without a Fight and Tyson Fury in that. And I haven't, that's not the tip. That's not the tip. There's a horse called Alba Flora, which I think could have the beating of him. That's a filly who's improving quite quickly. However, we're going to go for a horse called Roberto Escobar. Trained by William Agus, who's having a great start to the season. He's operating at a 30% win rate at the moment, which is huge. Tom Marquand's back from Australia, cracking jockey, riding well. It's only raced 3 times in its life. On its 3rd run, it was thrown into a Group 2 race at York. The standard of that race was ridiculous. Some of the horses it ran against are now rated far superior to it. They must think a lot of this horse to throw it into a race like that on its 3rd run. They must rate it very highly. It has a wins operation as well during the winter while it's had some time off. I'm thinking this has been overlooked in the market. It's 8-1 with Paddy Power. Again, if it runs to form and improves, I mean, it's clearly got improvements in it. Otherwise, they wouldn't have given it the wins operation. It's only got to run to somewhere like its last level to be competitive in this anyway. So given that level of improvement that's thrown in there, I think 8-1's a huge price. So that's my next best bet of the day. That is Roberto Escobar, 230 at Ascot. And the last one, easy, the 340 at Ascot is the Victoria Cup, which is basically a cavalry charge over 7 furlongs with 27 runners all running in a straight line. So I thought,
lovely.
I thought that would be easy to crack. Let's have a little look at that one. It's
mustard.
Mustard. Yeah, it's an absolutely wide open race. This, as you'd expect. I've been trying to get us a little. I'm not even looking. I'm looking at my notes. I'm not looking at the screen. I am trying to get us and our listeners a bit of an outsider for this one to try and give us a run for our money and make a few quid. So we are going on a horse called Caravana. It begins with a K. Caravana, running for Richard Hughes. First of all, I like the fact that it's a hold-up horse. So trying to go from the front at Ascot over 7 furlongs with 27 horses and biting at your arse is fairly impossible to do. These races are often won by something that finishes well and comes with a bit of a late rattle. So he's an hold-up horse. I also prefer horses that are drawn middle to high. Sort of low numbers don't have a great record in this race. It's not impossible to win low, but I think the pace is more middle to high in this race. So he's drawn right. He's a hold-up horse. He's the right age as well. So he's improving all the time. He's got a low weight. And he's got a jockey on called George Ruch, who can claim £3 because he's an apprentice. He's won over the distance, which is quite important. So 7 furlongs is a weird distance. You're not a sprinter and you're not a miler or a middle distance. 7 furlongs is so weird. And you need someone who's proven at the distance. A lot of the horses at the top of the market are milers dropping back. Whether they've got the actual speed to go this race is it's up for discussion. So this horse is 16-1, which do you know what? So I've already checked. Loads of the firms already are paying 6 places on this. You'll probably get Sky Bet going nuts, won't you?
I'm having a look now. I know you love Sky Bet, don't you?
they're probably going like on the day. They'll probably go seven places. I reckon Sky Bet.
Yeah, they're paying 7 places in that.
Oh, are they? There you go.
But Caravana's only 2-1.
What price is Caravana with Sky Bet, mate?
Let's have a look.
To scroll right down to the bottom to the no hopers.
Why can't I find it?
Brilliant.
What would you say that they would be? My bet there would be a treble place bet.
So a place treble on them, mate, would be fantastic. So it's 3 horses. So I'd look at
place 14-1.
14-1. Okay, so you can get 16-1 with 365. That's for certain now because I put it on yesterday.
Do you know what I like about this as well? This fits the Dave Clark trend, this of horse betting, because I don't know the ins and outs of betting like you. When I look at the form and it goes like 4-2 and then it wins 1, I look at like the rest and it goes 4-2 and then it's the next race, so it's gonna win. I like that. That's got the seal of approval.
I love it when it goes like, say for example, 4-2-1, and then it goes 7, and then I think 100% they didn't try in that last race. The 100% is going to win this next race because
I can't tell.
100% in.
Are you two winding me up here or what?
No, we don't. We don't.
No.
We don't need your input here. Our way of doing things is bang on, mate. 99% this.
It's like one of you had Tourette's and the other one was playing bingo. Okay, so you've made a complete mockery of that selection. Basically, I've studied the form, worked out the draw, the age, the tactics, I've worked out that there's a jockey taking £3 off. That takes him nicely into the handicap. You know, he's had the right amount of days off. His ratings bang on. All I needed to look up was 4-2-7-1. Boom, you're in. Right, okay. Caravana, 340 at Ascot, 16-1. We've got Coppolis, 6-1 each way. Nap at Haydock, 310. And we've got Roberto Escobar, 230 at Ascot, 8-1 each way. So, like I was saying, Chris, you can have a play. There's only 3 horses there, so you can have a play. I'd do them all singles each way. You'd be gutted if they all came in and you hadn't had them in at 60 or something.
Yeah.
So, mate, you could even do £1.60 on this. It'd pay huge because of the prices.
Yeah, it would, yeah.
And then I think what you alluded to then, mate, was the place only treble. I think that could be a great shout, especially if you get 7 places, 5 places, 6 places.
Exactly. That's what I was just about to say. Yeah, I think that. So normally that's what I do. I do your singles bet and then an each way accumulator and then play about with anything else depending on the prices. Have you had a look at what the treble pays?
No, I haven't actually, mate. No, I should have done that. Sorry.
That's all right. Don't worry. Another fine for you off your feet. But don't worry, mate. Half a job. No problem.
I know I always say it, but honestly, I love all them selections. The way you've explained them, I think it's bang on. I'll be all over them.
Just working. I'm just working the treble out as we speak. The trebles, Christ, if that treble comes in, mate, it's over 1,000-1. Then you'll shut up about your 22-1 winner, won't you, Dave?
I've not mentioned it in 10 minutes.
You're not, no. Remember that time I had 100-1 treble a couple of weeks ago on the horses? No.
Can't remember that.
No.
Right, brilliant, fellas. Excellent as usual. Look forward to that this weekend, Saturday, and a little bit of rugby and stuff and everything else thrown in. Remember, we are on Instagram, Twitter, on your smart speaker. We're on the radio on Saturday on the warm-up on Radio Warrington. Have a little look out for that. Please do tell your friends, your family, because every single week we're providing, I say they are providing winners and good price winners as well. We're not just picking your favourites to win. We're throwing them in, as you heard it at the very beginning of the podcast, for all the different selections that came in just the last time out. So it was really, really good. So spread the word, give us a follow on social media, and we shall see you next time. Thanks very much, fellas. We shall speak to you soon.
See you later, boys.
Cheers.
Take care.